Your Philanthropy story, the idea behind it was actually germinated at the IMB Alumni Summit called IMBU in December 2015. It started with a session from Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw and Azim Premji talking about philanthropy, the art of giving. In the session, they did talk about, when you think about philanthropy, you think about the big names. You think about the Azim Premji Foundation, you think about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, you think about the Belakoo Trust, but very rarely do you hear positive stories about common people like you and I who can be social heroes. And they said that there is a lack of platform that kind of covers those kind of positive stories that can be heard to people, to inspire them to do more. That's where the idea germinated. Shivu Koteshwar and I were attending that session. We stepped out of the ballroom where the event was being held, and behind a paper napkin, the idea of Your Philanthropy story actually germinated. And it's been a great journey so far. We've heard some really inspiring stories, people who've created change and who've impacted lives in many ways. But of all of this, I think the first story is really very close to my heart, because I remember I did go and speak to Guru Prasad of Gurujana. It's a large CA firm. In fact, they work with some of the coolest and the biggest startups in Bangalore. I'm sure a lot of you all in the audience will be working with them soon if you already don't have any relationship with them. In that meeting, Guru said a few things which really struck my heart, and it struck the chord in my heart. And I felt this was an organization that I really was happy that I would start the entire platform with. He said they were structured, Guru and Jana, as a social enterprise. He spoke to me about their internship program. They receive about 1,500 applications for an internship program every year. They select 20. The 10 of them are tier 1 top ranking students who are CAs, people who are studying for CA and who are looking to intern with them. And the other 10 are from tier 2, tier 3 or rural background, but below average students. The idea is to create a platform where you can get people with, who have and have nots, and give them a platform to actually, an equal platform as a stepping stone for them to be better. In my mind, that was wonderful. How many people do you see or organizations do you see people doing this? The second story, in that same interview, which really moved me, was about Ram, the receptionist. He's visually impaired. I remember the first day when I went there, I was introduced to him, and I was surprised that he had a great photographic memory. He knew numbers by heart. He knew people's names. He knew which organization. But what really surprised me was when I went back to meet Guru to take a couple of pictures, he recognized me by just hearing my voice. And apparently he does that, regularly by either the perfume that somebody wears or just by listening to their voice. And that blew me away. And I was thinking, if one person can do so much of a difference, can you imagine how many more people are there that, we haven't covered and we haven't heard their stories? We quickly realized after about 4 or 5 interviews that, for us to sustain the quality of interviews that we need, we really need a strong advisory team, without which we wouldn't be really able to make the justice or create the impact that we were looking for. So we have a very core advisory team in place who help us identify people whom we can go and reach out to and cover, as well as vet through the entire process of figuring out which could be new areas. So in this process, we've also introduced a youth social model where we are looking at, young students who are actually giving back to society as well. Fast forward a few years, and we had done multiple interviews in the area of education. We met this really amazing, extraordinary person called Mrs. Shukla Bose, who is the founder for the Parikrama Foundation. And she does a lot of work with the slum children in Bangalore, and she was speaking about how you can go back and enhance the quality of life for a child by ensuring that you're educating this child. And once you educate the child, it can have impact at multiple levels, right through enhancing your hygiene levels, working through ensuring that your younger siblings are also then wanting to learn, or inculcating a joy of learning, as well as looking to see how you can actually look at the standard of life itself at home, because you are being educated. A lot of their alumni actually come back and contribute back, and they become great role models for these younger children. A lot of this actually stayed back in my mind, and that's what really shaped our journey going forward, because we were then thinking about what can we do to actually bring about further impact. This led to us setting up the Belakoo Trust. Belakoo in Kannada means light. The first of the project in Belakoo Trust is running a supplementary education program in a small place called Hangrapura. It's about 120 kilometers from Bangalore. We have 108 students who are part of this program. And we do bi-monthly classes in the area of STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. I still remember how this whole conversation started. I walked up to Shivu and I said, I think, Shivu, we have to go back to be doing something back with the students to really create that impact in rural children. He had just then set up an infrastructure in his farm in Hangrapura. And he said, Smitha, if you think you want to go ahead and use that over the weekends, feel free. I still remember my father always felt that change had to come from within and you can't expect it to be anywhere outside. So that's where I started, a Srinivasan spoken English program working with students. We said we have to take the plunge sometime. So we did the, announcement in the classes, and bang on day one, on the first class, I still remember, we had 28 students. I was thrilled because I said, this is an experiment that we're looking to run, and I had 28 students that I could really work with. The students had fun because we had kind of gamified and we had an engaging day one. And the second week, I had close to about 46 students. And I was extremely thrilled, and I said, wow, we are doing something right here, which is why the children want to be coming back and working with us and learning with us. Day class 3, I go in and I wait for an hour and I have 0 students. And I'm disappointed, and I said, something's gone wrong. And then suddenly I hear a child saying, can you come and meet with the village council, miss? I said, okay. And, both of us walked by, and we went to the village council. And there I heard that somebody had gone back and spread rumors that we were out there, we were no good, we were out there to actually, steal heart and kidney and eyes of all of these students by drugging them. And that's why we were doing this. And I was appalled. And I said, I was doing this because I wanted to create an impact. I sat down. Shivu and I then, spoke about the larger vision, what is it that we wanted to do, the different styles that we wanted to adopt with teaching. And I was pleasantly surprised that the villages actually have a great PTA system. We had 4 parents who kind of volunteered, at least for the first 2 classes, to come and sit through our sessions. We said they are more than welcome to come for the classes. There's only one condition that we had, that the student and the teacher can only be inside the classroom. The parent had to be waiting outside, and there was a place for them to be seated. They would eat the same breakfast and they would eat the same lunch that we were providing for the students. Class 1 happened, class 2. And when I went to pick up the students for class 3, I asked the parent that I typically talk to about the, folks or the parents who would be actually coming and sitting in the class that day. And he immediately looked at me and he said, sorry, miss, that even we doubted you. We are extremely apologetic. I think the students are really learning. They seem to be spending a lot more better time or being better employed. And I think it's a lot more safer that they are with you in your classroom than for them to be roaming around the fields or roaming around the village. So they were very happy, and that was a great hurdle to get by. I think what we've also done over the last 3 years is to look at what can we do to actually make lifelong learners out of and inculcate the joy of learning with our students. And we've done that with a great volunteer network who are really skilled and specialists in their area that they come and they engage with us. It's been 3 years, and fundamentally we just measure on one, which is, are our children happy? Are they happy to come to a class? Are they happy attending the class? And are they happy when they're going back from class? Is it anything that we are doing here? Does it result in any form of happiness to the child? And I think equally important is, how happy are my volunteers? Because if they aren't happy, the quality of education or the quality of engagement that we will have with the child will dip. A byproduct of all of this is also that we've seen the hygiene levels go up. Over the last 3 years, we've ensured that the children are washing their hands, they're clean when they come to the classroom. So generally the hygiene levels have gone up. Second, because we've inculcated the joy of learning in them, the school dropout rates have also reduced. Third is, actually we've created a uniform platform, or created a scenario where the haves and the have-nots economically are also being treated the same. So they all sit in the same classroom, they all sit next to each other when they have their meals. They have to all wash their plates after they're done eating. And we've kind of taken off those biases about, especially around the economic barriers or parity that used to exist in the village. What we've been also able to do is, do away with the biases that come either with disfigurement or disability in the classroom. We have a girl, her name is Meenakshi. She has a fairly large burn mark on her face. There was a lot of bias. A lot of the children did not want to be sitting next to her in a classroom. And she was always left alone. So I watched this for a couple of classes, and then I decided that one way to do this is to bring about some form of intervention. I gamified the next few classes. What I did tell is, in my English class, I was going to, go back and play dumb charades, mime the word or the sentence that we were going to be learning over, that next few classes. Before I did that, what I did observe was Meenakshi was very good at picking up people's expressions. She could go back, she could express herself back really well, and she could also mime back. So I got her to be my primary partner and told her that whichever group mimes this and gets the line right, they get a special prize. Quickly, the class caught on that, Meenakshi is an asset to have. And all of them were really clamoring to have her as part of their teams as the classes went along over the next few classes. And what was interesting is what started as some kind of intervention. Today, there is natural acceptance to actually have Meenakshi sit with them. They ensure that they wait for her. They ensure they help us into the transport vehicle. They ensure that, she's fine. I think that for me is a larger impact that we've been able to bring about. Belakoo is looking to do 3 key projects in 2020. Project number 1 is Nyanakone. The idea is to how can we give access to the kids, the youth, as well as the adults in remote areas access to a computer. This then expands and gives them access to knowledge that is outside of the remote setup. Nyanakone will comprise of a small, construction which will be perfect, which will be completely sustainable and which will be supported by renewable energy in terms of solar panels and ultra capacitor batteries. And, it will comprise of very simple peripherals like a computer, a mouse, and a keypad and a small printer. A local nearby kiosk or store will actually manage the day-to-day management or operations for the Nyanakone, and students can either take printouts or they could have metered time, 30 minutes to an hour long metered time to come and use the computer, because predominantly research has shown that they have very little or very limited access to a computer in these remote areas. The second project that we're looking to do is 100 Kids and 100 Smiles. In Bangalore, we do see that a lot of the areas have a lot of construction work, and which in turn means a lot of children. One such case is in Bangalore North in Hebbal. It's an upcoming area. There is a lot of construction that is going on right now, and which also means a lot of children who are there in that area and who either go to a private school or a government school. And the view was, how could we then give them a full well-balanced meal, extremely nutritious, but you can't just feed the stomach, right? You need to enrich the mind as well. So we've identified 500 key life skills that we can go back and train. This is again through the vast network that Belakoo has developed over the last few years, and getting them to in turn work with these children. It'll be a 30-45 minute session where there'll be a volunteer talking to the students about, or the children about a life skill, and then it should be followed by a meal. The third program that we're doing is called the Belakoo Learning Expedition. It is to say a big thank you to the public servants or the public service, professionals who are actually serving us. It could be people from the police department, like constables' children, or it could be people from the fire department, or it could be the BBMP, Paura Karmik's children, whom we want to be going back and working with in Hebbal and in Bangalore. The idea is, these kids already go to a government or a private school. Can we then take them on a learning trip, ensure that they are served with a nutritious meal, and in the process they learn by seeing something or by experience something. And for example, if you want to learn about fishes, can we take them to an aquarium, and can they see this aquarium, and can they see the fishes, and can they learn more? These are the 3 projects, and we're looking to launch all of these in 2020. I've always felt that change can't be external, it needs to be internal to the person, and each of us can actually come back and be that change that we're looking for, inspire people to come back and give back. I still remember after after a few classes, a child came running to me right after class was over and said, miss, please take this mango, it's really sweet. And I said, why are you giving me this mango? And he said, miss, this is the first mango in my farm, and I want to give it to somebody who's made a big impact on me, and I want to give it to you. I think it's about doing the small things, it's about listening to your instincts, it's about taking action, and I think each one of you can be a social hero. Thank you.